Pure gold.
What's that?
And that was pure gold.
Yeah, I know, right? Anyway, next Monday's Memorial Day, so I'm guessing we're gonna cancel
I'll
our
be at the Cubs game.
What's that?
I'll be at the Cubs game during that.
Oh, what time? The game doesn't start till like 1, does it? 1:30?
No, it starts at like noon, but we're going to one of those rooftop things where you go before for lunch.
Oh, nice. Is that somebody that you know who's hosting that, or?
No, it's Stump's family.
Oh, you just bought tickets for the rooftop.
Yeah, it's like 15 or 16 of us or something. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Are you just doing that? Are you commemorating something, or is it just to kind of excuse to get together, or?
His family's gonna, the ones that live out of town are gonna be in town for the game and all that. So we're all just going together. Yeah.
Oh, okay, fun.
Michelle's parent, Michelle and Tyler. Michelle's
They're coming in from Michigan. They're coming in from Michigan.
Yeah,
right?
and a couple from Florida.
Oh.
Yeah.
So a real family reunion then.
Yeah, sorta. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. That'll be fun. Yeah, we're going up to Kohler, Wisconsin, where Bob was born and raised, and we're taking care of some sad business. We're finally interring his brother in the cemetery there. It's only been 2 years, but we couldn't really do it before.
Yeah.
So we're going to do that, and we're going to add a little extra time on, take a little downtime. So I'll be gone next week. So. Yeah, anyway, so no call next week. What?
How long are you gonna stay up there?
We're gonna leave Thursday and we'll come back Tuesday. We'll be back home Tuesday night, like dinner time. Okay. So it's only 2 hours away. It's not that far, but
yeah. So you could come do showings if you needed
to. Yeah, I guess. Well, I'm going to ask Ann to cover, and if not Ann, then you are. But I don't think you need to worry about it. Things have definitely quieted down, no question. Are you getting a lot of activity on your listings?
No, most things are under contract, so it's hard to tell, but no, it's definitely quieter on the active.
Did you get both of your places over at 400 Ontario under contract?
That's the only one that I've got active is that one. Yeah, everything else is under contract. Is one of them.
That's
the other one's under contract. Yeah.
Did you get the mansion up on Schubert under contract?
Oh no, that's true, but that's showings are pretty rare on.
Right. Yeah.
Probably not Memorial Day weekend.
I had it's kind of interesting. I've had 2 situations in the past week where commercial brokers are asking to show residential property. So what does that mean exactly? How commercial brokers get very uppity when we residential agents want to show their listings. They act like we don't know what we're doing. And vice versa, they don't. It's very different. It's right.
Yeah, it can be a very different business. Yeah, especially full-on commercial. There's a lot of parts of commercial, like condo storefronts and stuff like that are aren't that different. But
well, I don't even consider. I consider commercial really to be more like shopping centers or distribution centers, manufacturing, those kinds of things that are hotels, that type of stuff. That's really very different.
Yeah.
But yeah, what you're talking about, small multifamily buildings or mixed use buildings, commercial condos. But these commercial brokers, because there used to be a monthly like a networking group, commercial and they'd get together once a month for breakfast, and they'd usually have a speaker. It's actually really interesting, but woe betide a residential agent showing up and asking stupid questions. They really got an attitude and would just take that person out to the woodshed, kind of thing. So if you were a residential agent, you could attend the breakfast, but better not ask any stupid questions anyway. So yeah, I mean, they have a real attitude about it. So I was really surprised to see these two residential, brokers
Commercial brokers.
showing, yeah, residential properties. So I don't know. I mean, I don't quite know what that says about the market, but um, Betsy sent me an email this morning. She just listed her nephew's condo over in Bucktown, and she put it on the private listing network and has not had any showing requests for it. And she's wondering, should she put it live in the MLS and should she stage it? And Ann and I both told her, yeah, you definitely should do both. I mean, the market has shifted. It's not the market that it was, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
We need to go back to I think we need to go back. Well, I mean, if you really think about it, kind of step back, and we kind of get embroiled in the day-to-day out on the street kind of thing. But if you step back and look at it a little bit larger perspective, I mean, this is our spring market. It always winds down by Memorial Day,
Yeah.
and we get into a different dynamic after Memorial Day. June, July, August tend to be slower, and people are taken off, and graduations and weddings and trips and whatnot, and people are. But I mean, there's a lot going on in the world and in the economy too that has people very nervous. And when people are nervous and not sure, they do tend to pull back. And of course, the stock market has been unbelievable roller coaster ride. I mean, one day they have record drops and the next day they have a record rally. I guess the last hour of trading on Friday was, they gained back all the losses that they had. I mean, it was like just such a roller coaster. It's like, it's the stock market is just unbelievable right now. So,
Yeah, it appears that way.
and
Yeah, and I don't know, working the downtown market, well, that's kind of always been more my bread and butter, even though I've always had, business spread out all over the place, but the majority of it tends to be downtown, and it doesn't always seem to follow those typical trends. I mean, maybe market times of, peak and slow times of the year, maybe, but people tend to be buying because they are coming to town to need a place and selling because they've got to move on. You know what I mean? And it rarely has so much to do with the interest rates or, the stock market or the economy or whatever. It's because they need to, as opposed to people who are more, I think, further out in the city or have been in their places for a long time and making an actual decision. Yeah, I think, we want more space, or we need to downsize, or the kids are, have, gone through school and now that they're empty nesters or whatever. There tend to be more kind of, a choice, I think, and they can decide whether they want to do it now during this economy or they can wait a year or two or whatever. But my market doesn't tend to follow that as much, just because it tends to be more like, no, they need a home now, or they need to move on and sell their home now.
Yeah, I don't think you get a lot of people who have lived in their place for 30, 40 years,
Right.
raise their family or whatever, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, like you do out in the neighborhoods, that's for sure. You get
Yeah.
people who've been transferred in, or relocating to Chicago and need a place, or vice versa, transferred out and moving to wherever. Austin, probably.
Right. And of course, all of those things affect the market and the pricing and the market time and all of that, but not necessarily the decision to buy or sell quite as often as it does in like I said, out in the neighborhoods or in the
True,
suburbs. Yeah.
true. Although I think the fact that you've got your place on some of your downtown stuff under contract is definitely a good sign. I mean, I think people, well, I mean, the thing is that when people start making decisions about moving, they don't usually do that unless there's a job, like we were saying, unless there's something like their job is shifted or something like that, that they need to make a decision quickly. But most people who don't have those kind of jobs, they start thinking pretty far out, literally a year or two in advance. Of course, which is what we saw during COVID. I mean, people were considering moving out to the suburbs, but when COVID hit, they said, well, we were going to go anyway, so let's just go now, which had a huge impact on the market. Betsy's market up on the North Shore, for instance, I think is still pretty, active, but I'm not sure. I'll find out from her tomorrow what's going on in the North Shore, um, um, but yeah, I mean, generally speaking, people tend to make the decisions pretty far out in advance. And unless there's some kind of something like COVID that comes along that to accelerate that decision, they move slowly. But if they're insecure about what's going on in the world, they'll just hunker down and say, well, let's wait and see what happens. Although I've had this conversation with a couple of buyers this past week about, I've got these clients who are selling, whose home I'm selling, and they're talking about moving to Florida, and they're talking about renting for a year. And I'm like, I think it's a mistake. I mean, interest rates could be 8% next year. Last year at this time, interest rates were what, like 3% or less? You could get a mortgage, a 30-year fix for 3%, and now they're 5.5%. So, I mean, they could very easily be up to 8% and they're definitely not going to be lower. We know that. How high they're going to be, who knows? But
Well, we don't believe there will be.
what's that?
I guess it's unlikely. Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, right. I mean, yeah, who knows? I mean, nobody can predict the future, of course, or what's going to happen. But now Carmen on our community call last week had a really interesting idea. He was talking about buying down the rate on the mortgage, which and he was talking about, rather than drop the price on a listing, have the seller offer a credit. But I thought about that. You could offer like a 1%
Buy a point on the loan.
to buy down the rate on the loan, which I think is a good idea. But I think to do it from the seller's end, I think it'll get lost. I don't think that most agents would pick that up, would know to do that, would understand what you're talking about. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? I think it's better to go in as a buyer and ask the seller for a credit to buy down the rate on the loan.
Yeah, I think for a couple of reasons. First of all, that that may be of interest to the buyer or not.
Right.
Yeah. So if it only appeals to a certain, a smaller percentage of the buyers, then a price reduction would appeal to everybody. And the buyer, if that is important to them, could ask for that in the negotiation. And then also, like, again, this is something where it's different in my market than yours, because most of my owners are only in the property for a short amount of time comparatively, just for a few years. So buying down the mortgage, for a few years versus a 30-year, on a 30-year mortgage.
Well, honestly though, Wes, and this is another conversation I've had with a few of my buyers, is how many people, even if they stay in their home, how many people actually keep a mortgage for 30 years because they want to take the equity out and do something with it.
They might keep it for 10 or 15 years.
They might, but you can get it. But you can get it.
Probably not.
And you can get a 10-year. You can get a 10-year ARM.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying it for people outside of downtown, it might be more beneficial because they're in their home longer and may tend to have that mortgage for a longer period of time, before interest rates go back down, maybe, before they would refi. But in the city, you might only get that benefit for a few years, and it wouldn't be as worthwhile as a price reduction, you know.
Well, actually, he had a, I should try and bring this up. He had a chart that he had gotten. Okay, wait a minute. Let me figure out how to do this. Okay, no, okay, no, okay. Close that. I got to figure out how to open it so I can share it. But he shared a a chart with us that showed, if you know, if you $650,000 property, if you drop the price, here it is. Okay, I'll share this. If you drop the price $20,000, the savings that the buyer would get over 5 years would be 5,500. If you sell it at full price, but you buy down the rate, and it costs $4,500. No, wait a minute. What is he saying? Full ask with a oh, okay, with a 6,000. So he's saying it's like $6,000 to buy down the rate from 5.5 to 5.125. The buyer would actually save $12,000 over the reduced price of 630, but you pay the full 5.5% interest rate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really in over a 5-year period. So, I mean, I thought it was a really interesting chart, but I think that, well, just as you just said, you just said it to me that, well, the buyer would benefit more from a price reduction than from a rate buy down, but that's actually not so.
Okay.
Right? Yeah, I mean, that's the point. So
if they stayed that long, but that's why I said, most of my clients, or
well, they'd
many,
say 5 years, wouldn't they? I mean,
the average is really more 3 in the area, but some of mine are there longer than that, but the average is like 3.
But a $20,000 price drop, I mean, that's significant. That's what, like a 5% price drop, something like that, more than 5%, right? I mean, it's like a 7% price drop. That's a pretty significant price drop.
Yeah,
Anyway.
and I think
I mean, so I don't know that a buyer would be able to negotiate that large of a price drop. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
so it would be beneficial.
I don't think we're going to see it on $700,000 properties. I just don't think those buyers are as concerned with the rates as they are with a 300.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, I agree with that.
Yeah.
No, I totally agree with that. I mean, you'd have to do the numbers probably at more of an entry level price point, but
that's where it's going to make a difference. Is really first time home buyers and the lower end of the market. That's they're the ones more affected by that.
Although the entry level price point keeps going up, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Anyway, so that's what's going on out in the world of real estate. We won't be here next week, and hopefully the week after I'll get around to inviting Marty to join us. So everybody have a good holiday. Be safe. Enjoy some downtime. Get those Barbies going. Get the shrimp on the Barbie, right?
All right. Have a good week.
All right.
Happy Memorial Weekend or Memorial Week.
Bye for now.
Bye.